It's time for Cats Talk Wednesday. Small town and big city join forces. Vinny Hardy of Lynch, Kentucky, and Terry Brown of Louisville, Kentucky, team up to give you free-flowing, laid-back sports talk. Focus on Kentucky Wildcats, as well as pertinent information in the NBA, NFL, and Major League Baseball.
We are back, y'all. Welcome into Cats Talk Wednesday on the BS3 Network, bs3network.com. Terry TB Brown up there outside Des Moines, Billy Hardy outside of Knoxville. TB, how we doing, man?
Doing good, man. It's crazy out here on the cornfields. We had snow. We've had 80 degrees. We've had tornadoes. Like I told you, it's a little bit of everything up here.
Whew. Y'all are braver than I am. I'll just say that.
There you go. But no, we're doing great out here, man. I got to decide if I'm gonna watch this Final Four though.
I always do, man. It's because there's only 3 college basketball games left, so I end up tuning in anyway. I just can't help it. I
did not watch any of the games this past weekend. Once Kentucky lost, I did not watch any of the Elite Eight games.
I feel you.
The pain is too near and dear.
Yeah, especially when it's Tennessee.
Yeah, especially when Tennessee pooped the bed like that. I'm like, we could have done that, but be that as it may not. I tip my hat to the Vols for making their 4th Elite Eight. So good for them.
Yeah.
Just remember, we had 4 Elite Eights when I was in school.
Exactly.
Just letting them know. All right.
We will talk about all of this and keep it going because we got our guest backstage. She hosts Best of the Bluegrass on LEX 18. I just looked it up too. She's a friend of the show, but it's my fault she's not more of a frequent friend of the show because the last time we had her on TV, February 19th of 2020. So a good 5 years since she joined us. We're talking about none other than Jennifer Palumbo. Let's get Jennifer on in here. Jennifer, welcome back. Sorry, it's been a half a decade.
It's great to be back because the last time I was on your show, we were on our phones. So you guys have come a long way. I'm very good.
All right. Well, we appreciate that. The pivot to video, as they say in the business.
Yes.
We got applause from Jennifer Palumbo. That's all. Hey, our day is made, TB.
I'm good to go.
I'm telling you. That's it, man. Well, look, Jennifer, we were messaging back and forth to TV. I think all the listeners will know behind the scenes, y'all, we were arguing, a heated argument, because we were all fighting about who wanted to spill the tea on this transfer portal first, because we all just love it so much. I'm kidding.
You know what's funny is, I really don't know any of the players that Kentucky is going after right now because I'm not paying attention to it at this point. There's so much noise that it is annoying to me, but it's funny because my son, who's a senior in high school, we have a family chain going, and it's every time there's something new, it's, sending highlights or Kentucky's talking to this kid or, just nonstop on his end. But for me, I'm just trust in Mark Pope and the awesome staff that he has, and we'll let it play out because if you continue to do it like this, you're going to go crazy. I mean, I can see it on, I still call it Twitter. It's still Twitter to me, but just the nonstop, like some of our fans are losing their minds and it's like, no, it's okay.
It's been a week.
Right.
Like it's just been a week since the season ended. It's going to be okay.
Yes.
I understand in this world, as I sound like an old man, Vinny, like everybody wants it right now. But I'm like, look, I got these posters back here, Kentucky history. Whatever the era, Kentucky gets the best players.
I do too.
Whether it's, we're going to get the high school kids, the one and dones, the transfer portal, we're going to get the best of the best because we're Kentucky.
Right.
I got 80 years to back it up.
Right. And, but what I think is going to be interesting this season, this coming season, it's going to be different from this season because, this season, Mark Pope was able to bring these players together. You truly felt like they were all bought in, that they loved each other, and that it was just this great cohesive team. But then what happens when you start going after a different type of player, and the one who is used to getting all the playing time and being, the best player on the team and the big dog on campus, it'll be interesting to watch and see how all of that plays out. And if it creates a different dynamic, but everything may just be fine and just keep going the way it is. But I think, those different types of personalities, it may be interesting to see how that all meshes together.
And for as much as everybody that likes keeping up with it, and look, more power to them. If you want to, that's fine. As much as they like it and enjoy it, dive into it and check every single thing, they still don't know what Coach Pope and Coach Feger and everybody's doing behind the scenes. They don't know what they've got cooking up. They don't know who they've talked to and how long they are in the process. And, we're going to start to hear Cody Feger booms on Twitter. We'll see all that soon enough. So I said the other day, I said, if we don't have a team on Big Blue Madness, we're going to be fine. We're going to field a team this fall. We're going to have 12, 13. We'll have a full roster and a squad. If we get to October without a squad, then I will panic. Until then, look,
And what we saw this season was, though, how injuries can impact the team in a way to where, you have to have that depth. And I think, one piece that we really need a beast, we need an alpha dog, somebody who's not going to back away from, the basket. Those are the types of players that that's what I want to see. Because that was something that I think was missing this year, to be honest.
This team was, I call it a get a bucket guy. Like when the play is going out, we got 5 seconds on the shot clock. Go get me a bucket, and that was the
fire up the three. Right.
Yes,
right.
Go do it. And so I'm looking for Pope and his roster construction kind of evolve and kind of get those dudes in, because now he's got a proof of concept, right? The offense is free flowing. It's this, and this. We've got our culture. Now you can start recruiting based on that. So I'm excited, but I'm not worried.
Right.
No reason for it.
No, there's not. There's not.
Yeah. And we were talking about the way it ended. It was,
I was there.
As you drink orange Gatorade, really, Terry? I mean, come on, man. The fact that it was Tennessee is that stinks. That sucks. It's always
and the way it lost. I mean, like being there in person. It was one of those things where I almost get to the point where I'm like, we talked about this because my husband and my son were there too, and my son was at the game last year. And that was his first NCAA tournament game. So we're 0 for 2, and he's like, I'm not going to any more NCAA tournaments. He's like, I'll go to the SEC tournament, but he's like, I can't do that again. And I just wish it had been a closer game. Just sitting there through the whole thing, it was just so sad to see it just kind of end like that.
Yeah,
and especially to Tennessee.
Yeah, that's what makes it worse. But on the flip side, you got a lot of positives. Big Blue Nation will do this as they heal. They'll go back and rewatch Louisville, Duke, Gonzaga, Florida, the 2 Oklahoma wins, the Missouri. Everybody will go back and watch that and reflect on that. And there was so many things to enjoy. The fact that it's Tennessee and you couldn't beat them that third time. And
but you know what?
Then
they turned around and the Big Orange got crushed, and we were all like, "Yay!"
and I still got to tweet my meme.
I almost wish that we had stayed in Indianapolis just to root against them in that game, but instead we did that at home. So it, as long as they didn't make it to the Final Four, I'm good. There's still 0 Final Fours, so at least we have that.
We sure do.
But you're absolutely right, though. There's so many. Mark Pope and his staff, they did a phenomenal job. I mean, from the point to where he was announced as coach, not only to get his first NCAA tournament win, but then to make it to the Sweet 16 and to be able to do that with no players, starting from scratch, just shows you that he has the pieces and the system and the mindset that, he's going to be able to do this. And I truly believe that he is going to be very successful. He is the man for this job, and he's done a great job so far. So I don't have any doubt in my mind that he won't do a great job next season.
So where were you from that one, was it a Friday night when on Twitter, I still call it Twitter, Cal's going to Arkansas, and that became a thing. And then, we're striking out on Hurley, striking out on Scott Drew, and then it's Mark Pope. Where were you that 3 or 4 days last April? Were you finally, or when did you get to where you were totally bought in on Pope?
So I have to say that for me, this season was one of the words that I used to describe this season for me is strange. And the reason why I say that is because we're really close with Coach Cal and with Ellen. And we went to, visit. We took our son for a visit in September to Arkansas. And, so when to have to process that, first of all, that Cal's leaving. Second of all, that, that we have a coach that really wasn't on anybody's radar. But I also wasn't, there was a lot of negativity in the beginning, which obviously, that has gone away. But, I thought, okay, bring in somebody young and who understands what Kentucky means, the University of Kentucky means, because he played there and he'll get it. And so I was excited. And, it was just, being at the games this season was just so different, for Joey and me, just because, Cal will always be our friend. And I know fans are going to get mad if I say this, but you know what? I mean, we were rooting for him in the NCAA tournament. You want your friend to be successful, unless they're playing Kentucky. Oh my gosh. And being at that game in Rupp Arena, that was really weird too. I mean, and that was another one where I like what are the fans like booing, and not just booing, but screaming at Big Z and, Wagner. I really feel like the reason why Arkansas beat us was a lot of that, because they were so like that fueled them in a way, like after the game where, they said, we won this for you, coach, and so like that was an interesting thing to watch, but just so many fun games. And just kind of being able to experience it all for the first time with a brand new coach was just really, it was really cool as a fan. And we got to see a lot of the best of Big Blue Nation and the NCAA tournament, just to be able to go, we didn't go the first round, but then to be able to go to the Sweet 16 and you're just walking down the street and it's just, all these UK fans. It's just such a cool, like the road trips for me are one of the highlights of being a fan. And so just to be able to ride that wave, because there were highs, there were lows, and it was just really an interesting and fun season, just to be sort of as a spectator, because for years I was working these tournaments. When I was at WKYT, they would send us on the road. And when I was hosting This Is Kentucky Basketball, I was hosting that show. It was a weekly show on the UK Sports Network, 2014 to 2016. Like, think about the players that we had during that time. And every week, it would be Devin Booker or Karl Towns. They would be my co-hosts on the show. And, and that was a really enjoyable part of it. But then I couldn't really be a fan at the games because, you're not supposed to cheer. You're not even supposed to wear UK gear. I realized that rule's kind of gone out the window. But to be able to just be a fan now is just really, for me, really fun. And just a different perspective of being able to just watch it all from a different point of view.
Yeah, no doubt. So, yeah, I can see how that would be the whole dynamic, knowing Cal and that whole thing, and just a unique whole thing for you. Just
it's just still, that I thought this was where he was going to retire. I truly believe that Mitch Barnhart, that's what he wanted him, to do. Mitch, if nothing else, is loyal to all of his coaches, and maybe sometimes to a fault. but this, I think it was truly, for the best for everybody. And in fact, I told him, I said, this Arkansas, this may not have been the job that you wanted, but I truly believe it's the job you needed.
Mm.
And he agreed. And I think it's been the best for everybody. And I hope our fans can just kind of try to enjoy the process instead of, there's so much negativity on social media that just really eats at me. And maybe it's because I'm a mom with an 18-year-old son, but the things that, people are saying to some of these players and even some of the recruits, like, just stop. These are young men who are, dealing, but then people come back with, but they're getting paid because of NIL. They just need to suck it up and deal with it. I don't look at it that way.
No.
Because, we have seen where that can really take a toll on the players, and it's just, it's not good, and it's certainly not how I do that. And if I see somebody who's following me doing something like that, and I'll just be like, unfollow, because I don't want that stuff on my timeline. But I wish I wish all fans could just cut him some slack. But truly, NIL has just changed everything, and a lot of people would say for the worse, because it's just the Wild West out there.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm tired of people being unkind to Cal. Vinny, I know you see me out there on social media. I'm like, it ended, but as you said, Jen, it's worked out for everybody. Like,
let it go. Like, yeah,
he did not force himself on us for 15 years. Right? Like, we can talk about maybe the last couple of seasons, not quite what we expected, but
it's not the standard, right?
But that doesn't erase what he did for the first decade plus. Like, it doesn't wipe all that out. So
right, and the other thing too is there were things going on behind the scenes that our fans don't know. That I've seen a couple, accounts on Twitter that were dropping the T. And I'm not gonna, I can't say, what I'm talking about, but the people who know that if our entire fan base knew, I think would give everybody a different perspective. And, but it is what it is. And we're in a new era, and it's exciting. And it's also funny to me, even just to watch Mark Pope during the games, because, he's not the coach who's screaming at the refs and screaming at his kids, and I'm not, that's not a Cal comparison. That's just a general observation. And it's just a different personality. But then you just feel the love, like how much he loves this program, how much he loves his players, how much he loves the fans. To be able to like go out after every game and have thousands of fans, just waiting to watch him do a radio show that, you could be listening to in your car.
Yeah.
And he brings all the players out, and they're signing autographs, and they're throwing, I stayed for a couple of those just for a little bit, and, they're throwing things into the crowd. And so that bond is really strong. And I also think it's, really important for all of that, for, Big Blue Nation to feel that love from the players and from the coaches.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, and the men's team is where it is, brand new start, and the same thing for the women's team. Great year. Hate they couldn't get by Kansas State, but all in all, again, wins over ranked teams. Georgia Amore, we got to enjoy her for a season. Claire Strack, the new team that he brought in from Virginia Tech. Terry, you talk about how, your wife is not a Kentucky fan. She's from out of state, and you're always talking about what BBN is in an uproar about. And now it's got to be.
Let me bring Jen up to speed. So my wife, I'm in Iowa. Here I am in the cornfields. But just about every day at dinner, she says, okay, what are Kentucky fans upset about? Because one, it's always something.
Yeah.
And two, what they're mad about on Wednesday has nothing to do with Tuesday, and Wednesday and Thursday won't have nothing to do with each other. Now, a lot of times it's legit stuff, but she always knows there's something that's bubbling up on the BBN. Go ahead, Vinny. I'm sorry, I had to fill you in on that.
Absolutely. And the latest that's maybe ran the course of multiple days is, the situation with Cassidy Rowe and her no longer being on the team. We've had Cassidy on here, I think, before she even committed, before she she was still in high school. We had Cassidy on here multiple times. We've had Lonnie, her dad, on. We've had Alan Cutler on. And most of us heard Lonnie's interview on Alan Cutler's show the other day. And just, just to see how it's, haven't heard anything from Kenny Brooks yet, but the way things are looking right now.
And I really wish he would say something, because I've worked in crisis management, and this is a good example of what you don't do.
Right.
If you do something that's going to be, very polarizing and very controversial, very public, if you just sit back and just say, I'm not going to say anything, it just makes it worse, because then, it's just, then everybody's talking about it more. And, I would like to have him say, he needs to do a post-season news conference, to be honest, to just get the media together, reflect on the season, but also he needs to answer the question about why he did what he did. Because I can absolutely understand, where you would look at the stats line and say, it wasn't what we needed it to be, and we need that scholarship so that we can go out and get the best players so that we don't lose in the first round next year, so that we can, do better in the postseason. But by not saying anything, it's saying something, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And, I also understand the outrage of the, particularly the fans who are from Kentucky, who understand what this meant to her to be on that team, and that she deserved her senior night. But we don't know what's going on because he's not saying anything. So I hope that, at some point, Mitch Barnhart or, whoever needs to tell him will say, hey, it's time to do our postseason news conference. And then let him say it, because he was the one, who talked about her and, how she, bleeds blue, and, just how he, at least was saying, what it meant to her. But I don't know. And it makes me think too, could I see Mark Pope doing something like that? Could you? I don't know. So, but, I also understand you want to have the best team you can possibly have, but the optics of it, with his daughter being on the team too, it's just not a good look, right?
It isn't. And you want to have the ability to go 10 deep, right? But sure, you still just need people to help, let my whole thing, Cassidy, she came in, she plays well, but you need someone to let everybody else know what it means to put that name across your chest. Like, there's a girl that plays for Iowa, young woman, Rain, I can't think of her name, stats similar to Cassidy, but she's the rah-rah kind of person, and you need that on the team. Not everybody can be an All-American, right? But you need a full team, because the season is long. There's ups and downs, and you need someone that's going to be willing to. Every time she came in, she's taking charges. Yeah. She's doing that, and that's where I'm like, you got some explaining to do. You got to give me more than what you're saying. Nothing. You got to give me more than that, because the optics really look bad.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I was trying to. All right. I was like, okay, let me be objective when I'm hearing this stuff, because I was on vacation, so I was out of the loop for a while, coming in and trying to piece everything together. I'm like, okay, I'm from Eastern Kentucky too. Let me not get biased and swayed by that. Okay. This is not the first time this has happened with a new coach coming in. It won't be the last. Okay. So then you hear, Lonnie's interview, and every person loves their children, but I think he was even objective to the point that he realizes she could go somewhere else and play more at a smaller school at a lower level. So it wasn't even a case of dad being blinded because it's his kid. He's a coach as well, and he knows that. I know my daughter is not about to be SEC Player of the Year. He's totally aware. So I'm like, okay. Then we got the whole physical therapy situation, and now she's having to pay for it. And if you're gonna like y'all said, if you're gonna maybe make a change, do it when you're a new coach coming in, when you had that initial conversation, instead of letting her play a year. But you said she's crying blue tears and all that, and that's what sold you to keep her. And when you could have maybe parted
what changed?
First came, but it's bad.
You have to do right by the kid. That's my whole thing. If you're a coach and you're recruiting these kids and you're coaching these kids and the commitments you make to the parents, you have to stand by that. Mm-hmm. Whatever the arrangement was in 2024, you got to keep it in 2025, unless you come out with your chart and tell us this is why it changed.
And maybe if she wasn't going into her senior year, it might be different.
Right.
But like I said, she has earned the right to have a senior night. And that's how what I think, that it's not right. And if you're going to do it, you need to explain yourself.
Yes.
And if we reference Cal here, and Jen, him well and are personal friends with him. We've all seen and listened to Cal's post-game pressers and pre-game pressers for 15 years. We even got to the point towards the end, maybe we were kind of rolling our eyes at some of them. But how many times have we heard him say, imagine if this was your son? What if this was your son? And whatever he was doing or why he was doing something. Well, the reason I'm doing this, and, fans getting backlash, people getting upset. Well, imagine if this was your son. Put yourself in that position. And so, if I can see, imagine if Cassidy was one of our kids or any,
That's the thought process I had, because Jen, my oldest
his daughter's on the team, so he knows.
Yeah.
And she's still on the team. So it's just kind of head scratching to me, just the way the whole thing's been handled. Because I think it's a good example of how not to do it.
Crisis management.
And I mean that more so just from an optics standpoint.
Yes.
But you're also right. He when he came in, he knew she was on the team, and knew what her stats were coming in. And so just to do this with, no public explanation, I don't think it's a terrible look.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so that's the big topic for Mrs. TB. As she
well, and listen, and that's been like a big topic on my timeline for days.
Yeah. It's jumped the shark for. It's not just a one day move on. It's staying around.
Well, and think about it. He had all this goodwill, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and they had home court advantage, and in the postseason. Now, I think the way they ended the postseason, though, we got to have to, that was kind of disappointing, to be honest. But, it was, he seemed by all accounts to be a great hire. And, he that may not have changed, but this is definitely a misstep.
Yeah.
That in the court of public opinion, which, as we all know, really matters to Big Blue Nation. Because there are just people out there that were like, I was all in, and like this has changed, a lot of people's opinions. And he's only been here for one season. Like that's, you need to keep the goodwill going. Mm-hmm. And this is just something that, has hurt that.
Yeah, for sure. Of course, we all talked about the games at Rupp. I saw maybe a few months ago one of your tweets, Jen, and I think you're willing to die on his heel that you're all about the dance cam and don't care to dance and act the fool on dance cam, but you want no parts of the Snackworks cam. So what's
no, like I will not eat in Rupp Arena. Just for people, if you don't ever want to be on the snack cam, don't eat before the game, because that's when they get all the video. Because it's just, I'm so terrified that I'm going to get popped up on there. It's just, I get why fans like it. I'm not a fan. I think it's disgusting. And
Yeah.
if you're at a game and like maybe you are, eating at halftime and that stuff comes up, I'm just like, no, it's not making me want to go get nachos right now.
We took my mom to a game and she was like, "Oh my God."
Yeah, I know, right? Now, I will say the strangest game that I went to this year was the one where the power went out. So like, I mean, and I don't know that maybe somebody can, find an example for me. I cannot think of a Kentucky game where, you're watching at home and then it's just the game is gone. Like you suddenly can't watch it. And, and we were, so our seats got moved this year in Rupp Arena to where we were behind the announcers. So, which that's been kind of fun too, to, sort of see things that are, going on. But, they had no monitors. I mean, and it's just wild, That was a crazy game to be at for sure.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Because what did they go to on TV, Vinny? Because it was the game, and
They
then it was
switched.
like
They switched to like another game, right?
I think it was like TCU and somebody
yeah, it was
popped
something
up.
else. I was like, did I change the channel? What is going on here? I got to get out of Iowa. What happened? I'm trying to watch the game.
Yeah, and it wasn't going well anyway. But then
it actually, in all honesty, it was probably a favor that it wasn't on national TV.
I mean, Auburn was already rolling in number one, and when they banked in back-to-back threes, I thought, oh, it's gonna be a long day.
Oh, I know. And listen, I'm sorry, I'm not a Bruce Pearl fan. I'm really not. I know there were so many fans that were like wanted him to be our coach. So, and that's another thing too that I think for Kentucky to be able to be competitive with it's so weird to me that it's Florida and Auburn, and not Kentucky, but it will be Kentucky, again. But also, for the record, I am rooting for Houston, because I can't stand Duke.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, but I will win the office pool if Houston wins it all. Like, I'm the only person who picked Houston out of the it's actually my husband's company, Palumbo Lumber, office pool, and so I am rooting for Houston. So there's that. But it's just weird, don't you think? Like, just how good the SEC is, but it also shows these schools that made investments that got good coaches. NIL has changed everything, and now we're seeing. I think one of the issues when we talk about NIL and our fan base getting all worked up about everything too, if we're being entirely honest, Louisville's doing pretty well in the portal right now. And I don't know if they have more money than us. I saw a figure that Kentucky has $10 million to spend, which seems to me like would be reasonable. But who knows if that's true or
Right.
not. But I think when they see some of the players that Louisville's getting, and then that sort of feeds into the well, why aren't we announcing anybody, and why don't we have so and so, and so I think that might be something that sort of feeds into the frenzy. At least for this week. But again, it's been a week, and everything can change. Everything can change so quickly, right?
Yeah.
Right. With basketball, one or two people and your team is dramatically different. That's all it takes is one or two.
Yeah, like, and if Kentucky somehow were able to get Nate Ament, I mean, okay, then everything's it's all going to change again, But that is one that I've been paying a little bit of attention to, but I don't look at like the crystal ball and all that stuff, so I don't know what if they're saying, what are they saying? Like, is it Duke the front runner for him, or? Yeah, I don't know, but he seems like one that fans like. If Kentucky announced, if we got a boom from Cody about him, that fans would be jumping up and down.
Yeah,
we'll take it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's funny. I was watching the McDonald's All-American game last night, and so they're putting up the rosters on the screen, and it said, Nate Ament, Louisville, and my son was like, wait, what did ESPN just like leak something because he had postponed his decision? And I said, I was like, don't worry, this will be all over Twitter. And then they came back again with the roster, and then it said undecided.
Yeah,
So
there you go.
I thought that was funny. I was like, oh, somebody who was doing the graphics there got a little, like, either made a mistake or they know something that they, weren't supposed to put up on the screen.
So crazy, so crazy. Tell us about Best of the Bluegrass. What y'all got coming up, and just tell everybody about.
Oh my gosh! So Best of the Bluegrass. This is a show that we started. It kind of came out of the pandemic. I started at WYMT in Hazard in 1994, and I was there for a year and a half. So I really got to know and love Eastern Kentucky. I lived in Hazard, but covered all over. I went as far as Elkhorn City, all the way down south. And so that was a great experience. And then I came to Lexington in 95, and I was at WKYT until 2016, and thought I was retired and thought it was all over. And Channel 18 brought me back to do a 12:30 live show 5 days a week. And long story short, pandemic happened, and everything sort of changed. But I said, I don't want to do news anymore. I don't want to do murders. I don't want to do politics. Don't want to do, that kind of stuff. I just want to do all good news. Yeah. And they said, okay, well, what do you want to do? And I was like, well, why don't we do a weekly show, and I'll produce. So I produce it and I host it. And it's every Saturday night at 7 p.m. on LEX 18. And I just love it because it's fun. Like today I taped a segment with Lexington chef who is on Bravo's Top Chef. Her name is Paula Endara. She works at the Manchester Hotel, and so we talked about her being on Top Chef, but also, she made a dish for us. So I love the cooking segments. I love having authors. We had Jordan Allen, who is on The Voice, who's from London, Kentucky. I really like being able to shine a light on the people and the businesses that are, doing great things for the Bluegrass. So it's just been a real joy for me. I really did think I was retired, 5 years ago, and to be able to still be able to do something that I enjoy, but also something that I feel like is giving back to the community in a way that, I just feel like people are craving good news and just a break from everything, and to be able to do that once a week. And it's the most watched lifestyle show in Central Kentucky. We have, really proud of the work we put in, but also the fact that we just have all these wonderful viewers that just tune in every Saturday night, to watch and see, what's going on in Central and Eastern Kentucky. So it's been really rewarding, and I've really enjoyed it. I do sort of miss the sports, though. I loved doing This Is Kentucky basketball, and and maybe in another life, I think I would have loved to have been a sports journalist. But this is a great new chapter for me that I'm really enjoying, and this will be the last job I have. When I'm done with this, I'm done, and who knows when that will be. Like they may decide for me. I may not get to say, how I want to go out, because that's how the business goes. But at least for now, it's really fun, and I've just enjoyed being able to do that, and that it's something that's really just a part of me. So.
And so people can watch the episodes are archived on lex18.com.
So we have a website. It's lex18.com/best of the bluegrass, and you can go back and find all of the show segments there. But then if you want to watch it live, or you can DVR it, or however you want to do that, it's Saturday nights at 7 p.m. on LEX 18, and then also they replay my segments on LEX 18 News at 12:30 the week after the show airs. So you can also catch the segments there as well. So, and a big thank you to, everybody who has watched the show and supported it, because it means the world to me. I truly appreciate it. I don't take for granted the fact that I have this job that I love, because I love Kentucky so much. And I've now lived in Kentucky I grew up in Cincinnati, longer than I lived in Ohio. So, I say Cincinnati's my hometown, but Lexington and Kentucky are my home, and I just really have loved being here, and I'm so grateful just to be able to be part of the community and do fun things like be on your show.
We certainly appreciate it.
Absolutely.
It won't be 5 years next time.
That's right.
No. Next time we can talk football too.
Yeah, for sure. And that's my bad. I'll send you some DMs a little quicker and get you on here sooner because we always enjoy having you and appreciate everything you've done. Like all your contributions, like with the show now, Best of Bluegrass, when you were doing sports and news, bad news and sports, but now that it's all good news, we enjoy everything that you have had to give back. So thank you so
Well, and I
much.
love what you guys are doing too. So yeah, keep up the good work because it's just it's fun, and our fans are just they love to be a part of all of this too. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We appreciate it, Jennifer. Thank you so much, and we'll definitely get you back on again.
all right, and
All
go
right.
Cats!
Go
Absolutely.
Cats. Absolutely. Yes,
Always.
ma'am.
I got Eric's too.
Yeah, I saw that. Accessorize, baby.
All
Thank
right.
you so much, Jennifer.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Jen.
Okay. Jennifer Palumbo,
Yeah.
Bluegrass, LEX 18, and she's done everything there is to do in TV. Our next guest is backstage TV. Look, me in Harlan County, being from Harlan County, got to have my Harlan County people on the show.
Listen. When they give you the key to the city in Harlan County or the key to the county or whatever it is, I want to be there because 50% of the guests we get are from Harlan County. I got no problem with it. I'm a justified guy. I have shared that meme that I screenshotted from that episode of Harlan County where I won't say the bad word, but do you know where I'm from? Blank, Harlan County, Raylan Givens. So when they give you the key to the county, I'll be there.
I appreciate it. Our next guest was 13th Region Player of the Year. All he did was average 29.5 points a game, 8.1 rebounds, 5.9 assists. He just finished out his career with the Harlan County Black Bears, headed to ETSU as a commitment. We're talking about Maddox Huff. Maddox, man, how you doing?
Doing good. I appreciate y'all having me. How are y'all doing?
Hey,
good. Thanks for coming on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, man. Appreciate you taking the time. How are you doing? Are you resting up? You just finished your season, just finished your career. You got college right around the corner. Are you still hooping? Or are you trying to catch a little break? What's going on with you right now?
Yeah, I took a little bit of time off, a few days off after our last game, but since then it's been back to work, getting ready for college. I mean, I'll go down early June, so I mean it's here, and got to be prepared the best I can.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Have you had time to just reflect and just marinate on everything you did in high school? Have you had time to reflect on that before you look forward?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I was super blessed to have the career I had. Being able to play at Rupp, I mean, that was an extraordinary experience, and being able to play with guys I grew up with, being able to play with my brother, and then with my cousin Trent, and then for my other brother Cameron coaching, and then my uncle Donnie coaching. I mean, I've just been so blessed throughout high school to be with the guys I've grown up with and play with them and win that way, and show that that we put Harlan County on the map the last few years. So super grateful for that. But it's just another stepping stool. It's a step in the journey, the long journey of basketball that I want to play. So ready to start that next chapter and get it going in Johnson City.
Absolutely. So your sophomore year, I would say, correct me if I'm wrong, y'all probably feel that y'all had a team that was capable of winning the region that year. Got knocked off, right?
Yeah.
And so coming back your junior year, what was the mindset of yourself and Trent and all the fellas? Because going into that year, what was the mindset?
Well, I mean, me and Trent always talked about growing up playing how good we would be, when we were both upperclassmen, and we wanted to see ourselves as like two of the best players in Kentucky, but we hadn't won anything leading up to that point. No wins in the region, and that just kind of didn't sit well with us at all. And we knew it was the last go around with him as a senior, so just the preparation we did going into that season was just about as good as you can make it, from everything on the court, off the court, chemistry wise, everything. I mean, it was just it was a super special time, and I feel like if I continue that path of preparation like throughout my whole career that we did at that time, I think I'll achieve everything that's on my goal sheet. So
that first game at Rupp, when you win the region there at Corbin, and you go into the Sweet 16, for you personally and for the team, Were there nerves? Were there jitters? Were you trying to just make it be like another game, even though it's the Sweet 16? What was that moment like for you?
Yeah, I mean, we all knew it was a huge game, but we had been on so many big stages that year. I mean, playing the Arby's Classic was huge. We played in front of thousands of fans there, so it wasn't something that we weren't prepared for, I guess is a good way to put it. I mean, there's always a little bit of nerves going into every game, but that just kind of shows that you care about it and that it means something to you. So, we were prepared. So, at the end of the day, I mean, we did everything we could. So, whatever happened was going to happen. But, like I said, it was a great experience, though. I mean, there's no game or no week of games that I remember better than that state tournament week.
Yeah, for sure. And once you got that first win, and then you start moving on. I guess you got comfortable, and
Oh,
you
yeah.
had a great run, man. Great run.
Oh, yeah. It is something special for sure.
Did you know Travis in Lyon County? Did you know him off the court before y'all played, or had you run into him at AAU or anything like that in the summer?
Oh, we had played a few times. When I was a sophomore, we played him in the King of Bluegrass. So I played him a few times, and I know Trent had ran into him on the AAU circuit a lot. So we were familiar with each other, but I always had a ton of respect for him and the way they did things there. So just a mutual respect and knowing that he was a great player and they were a great team going into that matchup.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
What was that recruitment process like for you when you getting offers and you getting schools and you going on visits, officials, unofficials? What was all that like for you, and how did you decide on ETSU?
Specifically ETSU, Coach Savage, just super personable. I have a great relationship with him, and I feel like the relationship with the head coach is a huge part of it. And Johnson City being an hour and a half away from home, that's big for me. Being able to stay close to family and everything. But they've been building something good since he's got the head coaching job, and that's something I wanted to be a part of. But reflecting on the whole recruitment process, it was long, and I'm super blessed that I was able to go through it. But it's you all know it's a changing game. The landscape's changed so much with the transfer portal and high school kids the last few years, and I'm just super grateful that I got to pick a place, that wanted me just as much as I wanted to go and play for them. Something I wouldn't want to go through again because it's super stressful to find the right place. But looking back, I'm super blessed that I was able to even experience that. Not many kids get that. So
That's for sure. So, how did teams? Well, hold on. We got a comment from a friend of the show, a guy you know well, Mark Lawson. He's patting himself on the back. Okay, we got to know who's the best play-by-play guy in the state.
I think we know who that is. I
think absolutely. Mark called every game in your career, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And some big calls that I've went back and listened to just from him. It's crazy.
Yeah. So we appreciate you tuning in, Mark. And yeah, that's great question, Mark. Oh, those are good dudes, man. Him and Mike, man. And
for sure.
They got the Cat Chat Pod, and they've been on with us and had me on their show. So they two good dudes, and doing their thing to put home on the map as well. As y'all do it on the court, they do it on their podcast, and Mark does it on the radio, on the airways for everybody.
For sure, yeah.
From your junior year to your senior year, how did the target on your back change as far as the way teams try to defend you? You moved into being the first option, first and foremost. How did you notice, as far as what teams try to take away, how they try to attack you, how teams tried to approach the Black Bears last year?
Yeah, as a junior, it was a lot different than as a senior. Playing with Trent, it took a lot of attention off of me. Playing with a guy that good. He was scoring 30 a game last year, or when I was a junior. So, but this year was super different. Drawing that much attention is I've not seen that very much. Occasionally in AAU, but AAU is a lot less preparation going into every game than a high school game. High school coaches are great coaches, and they take it really serious. Especially Kentucky. It's a lifestyle. So, I've seen a lot this year, and I think it challenged me in a lot of ways. Both on the court and then, mentally dealing with that stuff after you play some games and score a bunch of points, and it feels like it's coming easy to you, and then you're getting thrown all these other things. I just think it helped me grow as a player and a person, to be able to navigate through that and not let it affect the trajectory of our season in any way. But I feel like now going into college, I'm not going to see that in any way, especially early in my college career, facing 2-3 defenders and stuff. So I'm super excited for that, especially. But uh, I'm grateful that I was able to be able to have those moments and those challenges come to me, and the growth that it allowed me to have was big in my game, and I think it'll help me a lot in college.
For sure, for sure. What do you love about basketball the most, and what parts of the game may become the easiest for you that just come natural? What parts of the game are maybe you don't care for and you got to work hard to keep that tight as far,
Yeah. One thing that's always came easy, I feel like I've always just seen the game really well. I mean, I feel like my IQ is, top notch when it comes to basketball. I think part of that is just because I love it so much, and it's just I find enjoyment in watching and playing. I mean, there's not a day that's gone by not many days have gone by where I haven't played basketball, and there's not been one that's gone by that I haven't thought about it, talked about it, or watched it. So, I feel like that's came easy just because it's been such a joy for me. But there's always challenges. I mean, I was never super athletic. If I hadn't put work in, I don't think I would be able to play in college at any level, just because I wasn't. I mean, I was blessed with a great mind and a great shot and everything, but I wasn't blessed with being 6'6" or super athletic, or jumping out of the gym or anything. So I think that those two are probably the opposite sides of the spectrum, with coming easy and coming hard. But yeah.
that'll work. You talked about, well, when I texted you about coming on a few weeks ago,
Yeah.
You guys ended up taking a team trip up to Rupp to
Right.
watch Trenton the Cats play Vanderbilt. So it ended up being a Wednesday, so we ended up rescheduling. So how was that trip up to Lexington to get to see Cuz Trent play for the Cats that night?
It was awesome. I mean, I've been fortunate to go see him play a few games before that, but going with my teammates and then us all being together after the game, like we had just got done with the high school game, was pretty cool to see. Seeing him play in Rupp Arena, but with Kentucky, it was crazy. And then, he came over to the hotel after the game, and we just, chopped it up and hung out, like it was in the state tournament the year before. We stayed in the same hotel, same floor and everything. So it was a really cool experience. And, for our guys and for young kids at Harlan County to see that, firsthand, it's just, it shows what you can do, from this area, no matter, being from this area or who you are. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, CB, man, we had Cameron Carmichael on back in the day, and now he's a coach, right, on the team.
Yep.
So what was Cam's influence like? What was it like interacting with him, and his experience, as a player like you coming up? He went on to EKU, and so what was it like interacting with Coach Carmichael?
Yeah. I don't know if I ever called him that, but no, but it was great having him around. I mean, I had him my last 3 years of high school, and he helped me not only in games and practices, but he worked me out. He would defend me. Still the best defender I've ever played against.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. He just, throughout college, he just became such a good defender, and now he's lifting weights, and it's kind of hard to push around now. So he's pushed me a lot in those areas and those ways, and having him, because he knows my game as well as I do. So having him on the bench to keep me in a good mindset and keep me going after the right things on the court. I wouldn't be the player. I wouldn't have had the season I had this past year without him. So super grateful that he took a different career path and did it, because of the love for the game and the love that he had for me to help me out in my career.
I'm not gonna say old man strength. You said he was lifting weights. He putting that older man strength on you.
Yeah. Yeah, he's getting up there a little bit now.
Well, shoot, if he getting up there, don't even think about how old we are, man. Oh man. Oh, so tell us about Trent's locker, man. Y'all still is it still the way it was when he left? I saw they did the big story on it a few weeks ago. Is it still unchanged from that point?
Yeah, I mean, we got somehow me and Trent both got 2 lockers in the corner. So those 4 lockers in the corner, it needs some shoes need thrown away and some insoles need cleaned up. But yeah, it's still there. I mean, his jersey's hanging in there now, and I don't think Coach Jones is going to change anything about that anytime soon. So he might clean it up a little bit, but I don't think anybody's going to have that locker for a while.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people get a jersey retired. He got his locker retired, man.
Yeah.
That is all right. And the fact that y'all are cousins too, man. Your mothers are sisters. That's just awesome. And you've just been hooping y'all's whole lives, man. So
Yeah.
how did the one-on-one battles go as kids? I mean, especially before he got all 6'6" and everything. How did it go?
We used to play my driveway all the time, just me and him. We go to 10, and back then, I mean, I was killing him a lot because I could shoot. I could shoot on my goal better than he could. So, but I mean, playing him now, it's a different story. Playing a 6'6", 215, 220 guy. So I mean, but he's in town this week. I actually just got back from out eating with him and a few of my teammates. So hopefully we can run that one-on-one back this weekend.
There you go. There
Sounds
you go.
good.
That's for sure. That's for sure. ETSU, they play their home games in Freedom Hall, or is it somewhere?
Yes, sir. Yep.
That's what I thought. TB Freedom Hall in Johnson City, just like the famous one in Louisville. But
I didn't know it was Freedom Hall. Okay.
The Bucks play in Freedom Hall in Johnson City, so I'm definitely gonna have to pop over there and catch some games.
Sure.
Over there many times. They just recently started using it for basketball, but here in the past few years, but they renovated and everything. But have to come over there and check y'all out, Maddox, for sure when that season gets here. But like you said, it's right around the corner. Oh, too, man, tell us. We had Coach Jones on here before, had Trent on here, had Coach Greer on a couple weeks ago, who's we've coached the girls now, but was your coach up until last year. Just tell us a little bit about Reggie and playing with him and everybody that got to know him because of y'all's state title run.
Yeah.
Talk about Reggie as a teammate and how's he doing and how's he going to approach next year, after you graduate.
Yeah. I mean, I expect him to have a great year next year. I expect him to step into the role that Trent had and then the role that I had last year. So I'm looking for a big season from him. I mean, he's been in the gym working with me, and I'm already seeing progression from him. I mean, he had such an unfortunate injury happen, and I don't think he had enough time to truly recover from that and get his game to where he wanted it to be going into the season. But he dealt with that better than anyone could, and I mean, he's the ultimate teammate. I mean, he plays hard every possession, puts his body on the line. I mean, just seeing him be on the floor, I mean, was remarkable this year, and still him playing the way he did, not having a full left hand and not being able to prepare for the season really at all. I mean, he got healthy maybe a few weeks, 2-3 weeks before our first game. So, I mean, but I'm really glad that people get to know him and see him across the state, but nobody really knows, how much, it took for him to be on the floor and to play the way he did. So with this full offseason that he has, I expect huge things from him. I think he'll surprise a lot of people in this next senior season.
Yeah, it's good stuff, man. Good stuff. Y'all have made all of us proud, man.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate you. Wish you all the best going forward to ETSU. Appreciate you taking time to, I got your number from Coach Jones, and you get a text from some dude you don't even know. And you still kind enough to come on. Trent's come on. We appreciate all y'all. Oh, one last thing I almost forgot.
All right.
Everybody follows you on Twitter. You got your number up there on social media. I'm not gonna say what it is, but what was the thinking behind that? Did you I'm just gonna put my number here? And how often do people blow it up based on you having good games and getting texts and all that? Because you just say, look, here's my number. You want to call me? There it is.
Yeah. Well, in the recruiting process, Twitter's or X, that's where a lot of that goes down at. Coaches are on there a lot. So, once I got into high school and stuff, I put it in there, so, I didn't miss anything from any coach. If they wanted to call or contact, my number's there and it's out there. So, I don't know if many people know it's on X, but, most of the stuff, I'll get some Instagram DMs after a bad game maybe, but
they need to chill with that, man. Everybody has a bad game every now and then, man.
Yeah, you have to every now and then.
That's it. Well, man, like I said, I appreciate you. Appreciate you taking the time, Maddox.
Yes, sir.
Wish you all the best. Got the ETSU swag. Looking forward to see you play for the
There
Bucks.
he is.
Tell Trent we said, hey, he won't remember who we are, but tell him.
He does. I had to get home and I was getting on. He was like, "Oh, I got on there," and I was like, "Yeah, sure."
Well, man, we wish you all the best and have a good evening, and thank you so much, man.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
Appreciate it.
All right, see you.
Maddox Huff, Black Bears guard, 13th Region Player of the Year. Huge part in the success they've had for Coach Jones. Huge part in the title run. He was probably 1A to Trent's one in the run to the state Sweet 16. And it made it to the regionals. Didn't make it to state again this year, but still a great season and great career. And cool to get to talk to that young fella, man.
Yeah, they gonna give you the key to the county there in Harlan. You put on for your city.
Had to, and from the older ones, like the Bernie Biggerstaff and
you put on, man.
And now the young fellas, Trent Noah, Maddox Huff, the guys our age, George Massey, Anthony Ramsey, trying to.
I ain't mad at it. I think it's fantastic. I ain't putting nobody else on in Louisville.
Huh?
I need some Seneca people to do something.
Yeah.
I'll bring them on, but I ain't putting on for nobody else.
We had who's it? Grover Sales went to Seneca.
Yeah. He was back there with the West Unsold. West and George Unsold. When Seneca was competitive.
And you had what's the lady? You had a lady from Seneca. What her last name? Brown. What was the lady's name? I thought she was to Seneca as well. Maybe she was just from Louisville.
Diane Sawyer went to Seneca.
Yeah.
There's Diane Sawyer, the former Mayor Abramson, and myself. That's it. That's it. And Wes Unseld. That's it.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That's the Mount Rushmore of Seneca.
There you go.
The former Mayor, Wes Unseld, Diane Sawyer, and TB.
That's it. The fearsome foursome.
I got friends that are teaching at Seneca now, and they try to have a thing where alumni come back and talk, and I'm like, well, I'm in Iowa now. I was like, I'm not coming back until they put my name in the Hall of Fame.
Oh my God.
I don't know for what, but best podcaster. Give me my flowers. Give me my flowers.
Oh.
That's all I'm saying.
So she invited you?
Yeah, to talk to the kids and stuff like that. I like to talk to the kids. Good job, kids.
Oh, man. She was trying to get you back, man. She was trying to get you back in the old stomping grounds for a little speech, and
Yeah, I'll talk to the kids and tell them, look here, kids.
Oh.
Oh man! But next week I'm gonna go watch my oldest play in person.
Awesome, man. Going to a home game.
Going to a home game, yeah, man. So they did the old. They played some tough teams out of conference, took some losses, but since they got into conference, they averaged almost 20 goals a game.
Oh man! Okay.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, because I didn't know how that was going to go. Well, look, my whole thing is I want to see her play.
Mm-hmm.
She was a freshman. I was like, I don't know how much you're going to play. Well, I'm watching every game on online. I'm like, well, she playing all the time.
Hey.
Like she always out there. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna go, and she's getting some stats. I don't know all the stats, but she's getting some stats. She got a yellow card. She got sent to the penalty box because she knocked a girl down. I'm watching this game, and she plays defense, right? And her and this girl elbowing and jaw jacking. I can see them. I'm like, all right. The girl must have said something, and then Sarah just came, boom, just took her off her feet. I was like, oh, okay.
With the stick.
Yeah. Referee was like, you gotta go. And I was like, worth it, baby. Worth it, baby.
Oh man, so she got her money's worth anyway. Sounds like.
Yeah, that's what I was. I was like, man, like you didn't cost your team nothing because they didn't score on the penalty, so now I'm okay with it. But no, she's doing fantastic, man. So I'm gonna see her next, like the 12th. Is that Saturday? Anyway, so I'm excited about that. And, my youngest, she's running track and doing things like it's crazy keeping up with them. Because one day, my oldest was playing online. I'm watching. My youngest has got a track meet, so I'm watching one on the computer, one on the laptop, and one on my phone. Like trying to keep up with like. It's crazy, man, but it's a good kind of crazy, right? You know, when you see kids doing stuff, it's fantastic, man.
Mm-hmm.
Because we used to laugh at, they cut to people's parents in the stands at the Super Bowl, the World Series, or whatever. And I used to laugh at them parents. I'm like, y'all was being too cool. let one of my kids be in a championship. I'm cutting a WWE promo. Mr. Brown, what do you think? I think they're going to win. The other team sucks. What you going to do when the Brown runs wild on you? They be like,
you got stuff ready. You ready, man.
Yeah, I'm ready, man. Heck yeah. Heck yeah. But yeah, both of them doing so well. And Sarah, like, she's doing all this as a true freshman, right? Talking about all the stuff with Coach Brooks I'm familiar with that recruiting process, what that looks like. Mm-hmm. And, the promise for my daughter was no promise of playing time. You'll come, you'll develop, blah, 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 blah. That's when I was like, I don't know if she's going to play, but here she is doing it, right? And so when you brought up Cal kind of talking to fans, like, what if this was your kid? I'm in this situation, right? I want you to take care of my kid.
Yeah.
Whatever that means, take care of my kid. Like you say all this and we're all a family. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So when those losses happen, when those bad games happen, still want you to take care of my kid. So
because whenever Alan asked Lonnie, I forget what he asked because I listened to it, and we had Lonnie on here, we had Cassidy on here. He asked him whatever he said, and he went when he get that little chuckle before. I was like, oh, and yeah, this is you done because I didn't see him coach. Cassidy said he's fiery as a coach, but just laid back, nice as he could be anytime we've been around him. You and I text with him in different points and times when we're not talking about the show. We don't just text him when we want him to come on. You text even more than me just about life stuff, and so that little chuckle was a man who was burning a little hot inside. He keeping his composure, but he was not pleased at all.
See, the thing is, what you have to keep in mind is, again, we don't know because what Jen said, Coach Brooks hasn't said anything.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But all I'm saying is you have to take care of my kid.
Yep.
Because we have seen coaches throw players under the bus. We have, at the college level, we've seen all that. You look back, I'm so glad that Haley Van Lith got to end her story the way she did at TCU because Kim Mulkey left her out there to get embarrassed against Iowa a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Last year.
Yeah.
Last year, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You ain't doing my kid like that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like we're not doing that. And so, yeah, you know how it is. You will take a lot of stuff, but when it comes to your kid, no, you don't get no chances.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's a teacher or whoever it is, somebody's messing with your kid. Now you got to deal with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to go 0 to 100 for them.
Yeah. Yep.
Right? Like yeah, that's my thing. Is I'm going, if we're going to do it, let's do it. Yeah. So I hope that Coach Brooks and we're able to make this right. Now, what does that mean? I don't know. But right now, we're not talking about Georgia Amore. I saw she got another All-American award. We're not talking about that.
Yeah.
We're not talking about the turnaround of the program. We're not talking about that we're talking about this, and this just feels like an unforced error.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's it.
So, excuse me.
Excuse me. Yeah. Oh, and hats off to your Lakers. They beat my Rockets the other night, so I'll go ahead and get that out the way.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I'm feeling good because will the Lakers win the championship? Probably not. However, I feel better because what I've talked about the last few years with LeBron is I don't want him to hit the turbo 4 or 5 times in round one. Right? That was the frustrating part, losing to not the Rockets, but the Nuggets, is LeBron gave us like a 40-point triple-double. And AD turned in 40, and we still lost the game. And you can't do that.
Yeah.
If 40-year-old LeBron's going to go into his bag, that's a game you have to win.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think with Luka, and I love AD, right? That dude right there.
Mm-hmm.
I love AD, but Luka can do stuff he can't do.
Yeah.
Luka can put up a 60-point triple-double, which he has done. 60 points, 20 rebounds. So I have my thing is in a series, if Luka can give us 2, LeBron can give us one of those games, I like my chances.
Mm-hmm.
And is that enough to take care of Oklahoma City? Is that enough to get Denver out of the paint? Is that enough to your Rockets are going to be out there too in the playoffs, right?
Yeah, they're 2 seed right now. So
okay, well, good for them. Good for them. Hey, I gave your Rockets props because I forgot who it was like, why don't we talk more about those 94, 95 Rockets? I'm like, because people pretend that they don't count because MJ wasn't playing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And between me and you, I don't know if we've seen a center have 2 seasons like that.
No.
That's just my 2 cents.
That's true.
But I'm excited about the playoffs. We'll see how it goes. People get mad. Oh, we always talk about the Lakers. Shut up. but we haven't talked about the LeBron Stephen A stuff, have we?
Not the latest.
Let me put my 2 cents on it. Stephen A. Smith, we saw. Are you aware that there's video of the interaction? I was kind of sort of listening to Stephen A. until he said, "I might would have." No, we saw what happened, and I don't want to call Stephen A. Smith a liar, but I saw you when that 6'8", 250 dude was talking slick to you, and you sat back down.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the whole thing about the NBA discourse is, and you and I have talked about this before, we decided Michael Jordan was the GOAT, and that was going to come up in every conversation ad infinitum. And it's so frustrating that I don't think we've been able to appreciate anybody post-Jordan.
Yeah.
Like every great is held to this standard, but it's like, okay, is it the rings argument? Because Bill Russell's got more. And I'm not saying Jordan's not the GOAT, but I don't see, and I'm not into hockey streets too much, but you don't always hear, well, Connor Bernard is great, but he's no Wayne Gretzky. Like, it's okay to let it's okay to let each generation do its own thing. Stephen A. talking today. I talked to a unnamed Hall of Famer that said, if Steph played back in our day, we would hurt him. Look, man, I am so tired of the 80s and 90s being elevated, and it's never about basketball. When they talk about can today's dudes play back then, it's never about the skill or the shooting or the athleticism. What do they always say? We would have clotheslined them. We would have jacked them up. Well, I mean, okay. And I hate that because good basketball was being played back then. That's when I fell in love with the game. Why can't we highlight that other than the fisticuffs,
Yeah.
the clotheslining, the cheap shots, the hand checking, the grabbing and clutching? No. But we've romanticized this era like, well, these guys couldn't play back then. Like, what are we doing? You know, that's the biggest problem with the NBA. But Stephen A. Smith, look, man, when the reporters got out of the locker rooms and the clubhouses and we made them TV stars, they think they the show.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody here to see you. Like, no one's here to see you do anything.
Yeah.
But we've built them up, and so they're removed, and they get to talk slick.
Yeah.
So they're able to talk as slick as they want about the athletes without any repercussions. And so LeBron, who, again, at 17 was on the cover of Sports Illustrated as the chosen one, and really hasn't had a lot of missteps. I get people hate him and whatever. The decision was 15 years ago. You got to let that go. Like, you just got to let that go. But he's had no major missteps. And my thing is, well, LeBron pulled the ring so his son could play with him. So what? We have seen people get drafted and put on teams for dumber reasons than that. Hall of Famer Mike Piazza was drafted by the Dodgers as a favor because I think his dad, Tommy Lasorda, were golfing buddies. It's something like that. Like, that happens. I'm okay with that. I was okay with it then when we talked about, they drafted him at 55. Okay. Because I can't name anybody else drafted at the 55 pick in the NBA. So who cares? So they made it personal, and LeBron hasn't responded to anybody. My favorite thing is he hasn't even said Skip Bayless's name. That's gotta hurt if you're Skip Bayless. But I do think it's okay to say that Stephen A. Smith crossed the line when he made it personal about being a father. And we could talk about, well, he's a public figure. His son is in the NBA. That's all well and good. But what did I say about 10 minutes ago? When it comes to my kid, I am going to step out of myself when it comes to my kid. And Stephen A. Smith, he out here lying on LeBron, saying he wasn't at Kobe's service, and he was.
Yeah.
And why didn't he go to Dwayne Wade's ceremony? Because the son had went to cardiac arrest. And Stephen A. says, well, that's not a big deal. Most of the time you have that, you die. What kind of father going to leave a hospital for anything? When your kid's recovered, it was like 3 or 4 days. It was less than a week later. So they build these narratives just to have strong men to talk about. And that's why I don't watch ESPN except for live games. I don't even catch PTI anymore. And that used to be PTI and Around the Horn. I don't even watch ESPN for that anymore. And what happens is all these media people, because look, we know Stephen A. Smith was wrong and out of pocket. We just know that the way society is constructed. But all these media types, well, y'all keep watching, y'all keep this and that. Okay. Because First Take is the #1 show. They get less than 500,000 people. More people watch the stuff on PBS Kids and Disney Junior than are watching First Take. So just because 300,000 people watch this guy every Monday through Friday, the rest of us have to suffer.
Right. Yeah.
Because I've seen all this stuff. Well, y'all tune in. No, we don't.
No,
the crazy people tune in, but there are people like you and I miss Real Sports with Bryant Gumbel. I miss Outside the Lines. I miss the sports reporters. That was my stuff. I don't want to, because what happens is something great will happen in the sports world, and the lead on First Take is LeBron going to ever be as good as Michael Jordan? We've been doing this for 20 years, but you're not even paying attention to the game.
No.
And the main people like Shaq didn't even know who Detroit's coach was. Like, who's that? Who's the like? They don't watch the games.
Yeah.
That's the frustrating thing is the voices of the league don't watch the games. They box score watch. They don't know. I have not seen anything about Detroit's turnaround from 15 wins to 40. I haven't seen anything about the Rockets. Like, I'll check the standings because I'm looking, to give you trouble. I'm trying to look for the Rockets down at the bottom. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. They don't leap. They don't. But that's a story. That's a story for the Rockets. Was it 2 or 3 years post James Harden, and they're rebuilt with like that's what you tell those stories.
It was trash for 3 or 4 years. Like we went in 20 games, 41-41 last year, and if they beat Utah tonight, that'll be 50 wins. They already surpassed their win total last year in the playoffs. Gonna be top 5 seed unless you just lose these last 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Hey,
But that's a story, right? That's how you build stories. Like, you and I are old enough to remember watching Jordan get to that level, right? People don't want to admit it. He was getting his brains beat in.
Yeah, man.
Swept by Boston twice. Gentleman sweep by, I think, Milwaukee. And then the Pistons beat his brains in the playoffs. That's part of it.
Yo.
We don't. That's how you introduce the young stars. Because at some point, LeBron and KD and Steph are going to go away. But who are the next dudes? We don't know them.
Yeah.
All y'all do is talk about how they couldn't play. Like, talk about SGA. It's gross, but talk about Jason Tatum. Like, talk about these. these
Yeah.
You got to talk about these young dudes that are the next generation. We've just never seen LeBron. And again, KD is up there too. I think this is year 15 or 16 for him and for Steph, because Davidson was 08, right? Yeah. So, but with longer careers, these guys have had the spotlight a lot longer. Yeah. But you have to be able to explain. You have to introduce these young stars, and not just when they're acting a fool. And you got to get the Ja Morant jokes off, and you got to deal with Anthony Edwards' foolishness. But like, tell us who the next people are, because I distinctly remember in the '80s, yes, Magic and Bird elevates everything. You're right, but Jordan, it was set up for him to kind of take that baton. But they're not setting up the next dudes.
Yeah.
That's the frustrating part, is the league is as talented as it's ever been. But I find myself saying, like, I don't know the young people. I don't know a lot of the players on the Rockets.
Yeah.
I just don't. And if you and that's the frustrating thing, right?
I think they only been on last night. It was like second or third time they've been on national TV.
Yeah.
Because you got, if you're in Houston, there you can find them. But I ain't got the NBA package, and I don't have the. It used to be the Bally Sports Southwest or whatever,
right?
Whatever they carried the Hawks, I get them. I don't have every single package because I'm.
Well, that's the good thing about being a Lakers fan. I'm gonna see these dudes 50 times a year.
Well, yeah.
But even now, when they're terrible, I'm like, I'm not watching that. I am not watching Tariq Black and Ronnie Turioff and that run, because boy, there were some lineups between Kobe's retirement and LeBron getting there. That true. 2 or 3 year gap was even with Kobe. I'm like, I know Kobe. I don't know who this is.
That's right. Yeah, that's some struggles right then too. Sure.
Try to get me to buy the Jordan Farmar and stuff like that. Yeah.
Wow.
No shade. But I'm like, wait a minute, we're the Lakers now. Our fourth man used to be Byron Scott. Like,
Shoot, I was off these past couple of days, and didn't subject myself to first take, but flipped it on because I think I got Hulu. I can pull up. I got all the 30 for 30s, but I think it was on ESPNU. The best of enemies, the Celtics Lakers 30 for 30.
yeah,
They were playing all three parts just back to back to back.
yeah.
And so I was up. It was like 8. I just watched them all, 8 to 10 or whatever it was. And Byron Scott on the break,
Yeah.
Worthy, it was just I've seen it before, but that's the fourth option is Byron Scott. That's you're pretty good. You're in good shape.
Yeah, absolutely. And that reminds me, Michael Cooper, finally got his jersey retired because the only way you do that in LA is if you're in the Hall of Fame. Every time I see something about a jersey being retired, Kentucky got to get their act together, man.
Yeah.
Tony Delk being the last person to get retired. He signed early 1992. When Tony Delk signed with Kentucky, the dream team hadn't played yet.
Yeah.
When he signed, Bill Clinton had not been elected yet. And then I look at the women's side, and it's just Valerie Still.
Jerseys in memorial.
It's just Valerie Still. And I'm like, well, Ryan Howard needs to be up there. Adia Matthews. And at some point, they've got to rectify that. Like, at some point, you can't have 30 years of Kentucky basketball with all the winning we have done and not have any representation. I will beat that drum all day because it's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous that, because here in Iowa, if they say you're great the year after you're gone, you get honored. People making the big kerfuffle about Caitlin Clark. It's too soon. That's what they do.
Yeah.
Luka Garza, you play 1 year, jersey retire the next.
Wow.
I can't think of the player before Caitlin. Hers was delayed only because of COVID. Her last year was 2019. Then there was COVID. And so they waited until they had a full arena to do her jersey. But that's what they do. BJ Armstrong and them got honored the year after they got done playing.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
And we watched, it was Morehead State versus Iowa. And there's this young lady, Caitlin Barnett, I can't think. They retired her jersey at senior night.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And see, that's my thing is, when it comes to that kind of stuff, what does 30 years even mean? Like, if Iowa had waited, what Caitlin Clark did at Iowa, it is what it is. Either she's worthy or she's not, right? So just do it. I've talked to a lot of people. It's going to get to the point they're going to have to start doing like 2 a year.
Oh, yeah.
And again, I don't. Every time I talk to somebody, the rules are always different. I know they got to be in the UK Hall of Fame and everything like that. But I'm like, to me, and this is my soapbox moment, it feels wrong to not have any Tubby players or any Cal players recognized. I did just a regular Google search on some of the last players of the year. Every other place with a player of the year has a banner in their arena. That's why I quote tweet that one Utah Jazz talk about how good Oscar's playing. I'm like, y'all done more to honor Oscar than Kentucky has.
Man, yeah. Wow.
Like whatever you think of the previous coaches or whatever, you have to honor your national players of the year. Period. I think you should honor your all SEC, your SEC player of the year. So that would be Wall, AD, and then Oscar, Players of the Year. And then you've got what, off the top of my head, Bogans and Prince, and for SEC Player of the Year, and then Euless. I feel like I'm missing somebody. Was Monk Player of the Year? Anyway, my point is, if you just do Players of the Year, National Player of the Year, SEC Player of the Year, that's like 8 dudes that need to go up and 3 ladies that need to go up.
Yeah. Because Tony Dilks, his career at Kentucky, corresponded with my high school career. His freshman through senior year at Kentucky was my freshman through senior years of high school. So that the 92 to 96, that's when you put it like that, like you said, the dream team not even formulated yet. And I'm watching this, this quarter goal now. I'm a little late, but where they're, following around Steph and Joker and SGA and Dylan Brooks for Canada, and I forget his 14, France, the French team, that documentary, and how they RJ Barrett's dad played for the Canadian team, and he's a coach for Canada now. And Tony Dilk, whose jersey was before, before Rodney Rogers and them beat him that time.
When you look at it like that, because Tony got honored in 2014 or 15, it's still been 10 years since we've been a decade since we honored anybody.
Yeah.
That it feels weird because other places do it better, I think.
Wow. Yeah, that's
but the thing is, you can set your own criteria. Who cares, like Morehead State did, if you retire this young lady's jersey her senior day? Like, who cares? You were making that decision.
Wow.
That's about the
you're right. Malik Monk did win Player of the Year, as did Tyler Ulis.
Okay.
We forgot, COVID. Emmanuel Quickly in 2019-20 was Player of the Year.
Was the SEC Player of the Year?
And then Oscar a couple years later.
Okay. Okay.
So, then you got Broom this year, Dalton Connect last year. The year before that, Brandon Miller at Alabama, Oscar. Herb Jones, Alabama, Mason Jones at Arkansas. I don't even remember that dude.
I don't remember that guy at all.
And then Emmanuel Quickly.
Okay.
But then after Quickly is Monk. I'm going backwards. Then Ulis, then AD, then Wall. So yeah, like you said still like 8 dudes or whatever. Like
even if you just stick and I wish we had room for fan favorites.
6 guys,
and a couple of ladies,
right?
Because I don't know if Ryan was SEC Player of the Year, but I know she was all SEC off the top of my head. But my point remains, like, we got to honor these dudes. But there's also dudes I would love to see honored, like a Chuck Hayes. Are his numbers spectacular? But no. But that's the downside to being like a Kentucky fan and a Lakers fan. That's what I was telling the wife. For just about any other franchise, maybe outside of Boston, Derek Fisher would be honored. He hit big shots on those championship teams, but that doesn't get you in the rafters in Crypto Arena.
Yeah.
You know what the buy-in is for that. Like, you can play for the Yankees and maybe win a home run title, maybe win a Cy Young. That still doesn't mean you get honored in Monument Park, right? Because the barrier's just different.
Yeah.
Fan favorites don't get it. I don't think that Big Shot Rob Horry's got honored anywhere, although it feels like he should be somewhere, right?
Yeah. I mean, he was young, rookie. He was key in Houston. I mean, he was key in everywhere he went. Spurs, Lakers.
Yeah.
Y'all don't beat Sacramento without him.
That's
that
right.
one year. So yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I just think that Kentucky's got to do a better job about that, because it's going to be partly is because I think we don't really like those coaches, Tubby and Cal, and I'm saying that a little tongue in cheek. And so, because how we feel about the coaches, the players play. And having and I keep saying, if people are like, what does it matter? Blah blah blah. I'm like, it's gonna matter if AD goes into the Hall of Fame and doesn't get honored.
Wow.
It's gonna matter. It's gonna matter if SGA wins the MVP this year and he got no recognition. It's gonna matter. Because I tell people all the time, like, no, because like, oh, well, you've got to have AD up there. Nope.
Yeah.
John Wall. Nope. Bogan's the Prince. Nope.
Yeah. Just real cavalier about it.
Jody Meeks. Nope. Surely Malik Monk. Surely not.
Yeah, they just a little too cavalier about all that.
Yeah, friend of the show, Adam Jacoby. We were driving somewhere talking about it. He's like, you're kidding me. I'm like, absolutely not.
That's your boy. That's your buddy Craig, right?
Yeah, that's Craig Hayes. That's my coworker. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. For the they got a new basketball coach.
For replacing Fran.
Yeah, the coach, he's coming over from Drake. The name is escaping me, and I feel bad. But yeah, but Fran, after 17 years, he's gone. I did see something today about, Farron's getting ready for year 27. That's crazy, man. That's what they do here. That's what they do in Iowa. Everybody gets a decade. Every coach they got has been doing this for a decade.
So is it Ben McCollum going from Drake to Iowa?
Yeah. And Drake won in the round of 64 for the first time in a long time this year.
Who did they beat? Who did they beat? I was watching that. I thought. Because, you being
Missouri.
up there. That's right. Yes.
They beat Missouri.
Yes. Sure did.
And I told them,
they choked them out.
I filled out my brackets. I was like, oh yeah, Drake can get him. Drake can get him. Because they play that, deep into the shot clock kind of thing. And they got that Bennett Sturts. That kid is ridiculous. That kid is ridiculous. Yeah. Yeah. They got Missouri out of the paint and kind of run out of steam against Texas Tech. But but Drake been to a Final Four. And you see the Tennessee fans like, oh, we got to hear these no Final Four jokes. Yeah, until you go to a Final Four.
Yeah.
But then this is what always happens, right? Well, we won the baseball championship. We ain't talking about that right now.
Yeah.
Well, we are a good football team. My brother and sister in Christ. That football championship is as old as this shirt.
Hey.
That's 27 years ago.
Yeah. It's back when Kirk Ferentz was starting it out.
That's right. Like, come on now. Because if we had no championships between 98 and now, we couldn't consider ourselves a basketball school.
Yeah. Because there's a couple, 58 to 78 and 78 to 96. It's been some little droughts.
Yeah.
So I've
been sharing those pictures. People like, on this date in 96, on this date in 98, pictures of Woodland and Euclid. And I tell my missus I'm out there somewhere.
That's right. Absolutely.
Hey, April 1st, 1996, I will be old and gray, older and grayer, and think back to that night. That was a good night. I had a Calculus 2 test the next day.
Hey.
Was not great.
Oh.
But our teacher was from somewhere. He wasn't UMass, but somewhere up north. He's like, we're going to have this test on Tuesday morning, 8 o'clock after the championship game. I'm out in the streets. I'm on Rose Street in some house, right? And I'm like, it's 5 o'clock. Sun's starting to poke up. I'm like, I got a calculus test. I made it back to Hagen Hall, my dorm, and I'm sitting there going, I'm like, this calculus looks even worse to me than it does on a regular basis. But I'm going to take this test. And people came strolling in. It was bad. But they had all the nerds up front. Didn't even know there was a ball game.
Right.
And I'm sitting there. Vinny, I fell asleep during the test. I'm like, okay, let me You jerk yourself.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
And the professor's like 20 minutes. And I'd have nothing in my blue book. I'm like, all right, this is. So I did whatever. And luckily, thankfully, he let us do like a project because a lot of y'all did bad on that test. That's a you thing for making me come in here 8 o'clock in the morning, take a test the day after the first championship in 20 years. That's kind of on you, Professor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was hating because UMass got beat in the Final Four.
But then, like 98, I think they canceled class the next day, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody fixed me on that because 98 was different because they had the police were set up. They closed off streets, they had a police command. It was still fun, but 96, man, that was just unbridled. That was unbridled.
Exactly.
Woo!
For sure.
What a night.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So what a show, man.
Yeah, great guests, great memories. We back at it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We was out last week, but back at it. Just enjoy the season. Go back and watch some of those wins Kentucky got.
I did. I watched the last like 10 minutes of the Duke game.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. All right. And it's this season, look, if over the summer, Pope's doing this thing like, hey, Sweet 16. Because in my head, I'm like, Sweet 16 is successful.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we got. The only downside, we did lose to Tennessee.
Yep.
And so a lot of Tennessee fans, Kentucky's never beat Tennessee in the tournament. We beat y'all enough, more Kentucky wins than Thanksgivings.
Yes.
So then a lot of people are like, oh, you can't talk trash after your rival beats you in the tournament. Louisville fans never stopped beating trash. We beat them in the Final Four. And then 2 years later, we beat the defending champs in the Sweet 16. And they never missed a beat. That's the beauty of a sports rivalry. It doesn't matter what happens on the field or court. You still gonna get these jokes?
Yeah.
Well, we beat you. Maybe you need to beat a Final Four.
Yeah,
that's why I saw a lot of people argue with Tennessee fans. How do Tennessee fans know what a men's Final Four team looks like? Like, how do they know? But what do they say? They always switch to another sport, or they talk about, we're not talking about these 1948 championships. Neither are we. Y'all know who Anthony Davis is because he still played in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all know who Karl-Anthony Towns is on this Final Four team. He's still in the league. You know who Devin Booker is. They're still literally playing in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that was forever ago. Those dudes are still playing.
But they love to say down here, feels like 98 because of that football championship. See, feels like 98 is. So they talk out of both sides of their mouth. Forever, if 2012 is forever ago, what is 98?
That's what I'm saying.
But no, it's great to be a Tennessee ball. It feels like 98 when it's talking about that. But when they talk about us, that's forever ago. Anyway, so I do them the same way I did the Eagles fans till the Eagles finally won a Super Bowl. Congrats, now you got one. That's what we'll say. And, until they get to a Final Four. And that's not the only thing we use. They act like that's the only thing we can say. But we got, Corey Price showed there's a lot more that can be said.
Corey Price gave them the business, man. He was just using numbers. I'm like, Corey, quit. The fight's over. I'm throwing in the towel. Well, he gave a rundown of all these teams that have been to a Final Four. All these teams, like Tennessee's got 31 wins in the tournament. And he's like, Kentucky did that between like 93 and 98 or whatever.
He did. That's 4 or 5 different times.
Yes.
They've done that.
Yes. He's like, they did this and this and that. Like, he gave them the business. It can't be mad because it's numbers.
Oh, man. Oh, well done. And, Corey was in his bag, man, even more than he usually is. He was just showing off at Tennessee's expense.
And I appreciate it.
it. Absolutely. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
Oh.
We rocking and rolling, baby.
Absolutely. Be back next week. We'll see who wins the Final Four. I don't know. Maybe Florida can. Anybody but Duke is fine with me. You know, I ain't got no hate for Kevin Sampson. If he was to do it, it wouldn't hurt my feelings. And of course, you know, Florida or Auburn on the other side. So anybody but Duke, and hopefully that'll be the case.
We need to see Clyde Drexler and Hakeem Olajuwon on the sidelines.
I was hoping for that against Tennessee, but they didn't even need to show up. They didn't even. I was like, oh, when I turned on the TV, it was 15-4 Houston. I was like, oh, they don't even need Dream and Glide for this. They handling business. Okay.
And this is the anniversary of one of the best national semifinal games ever. 1983, Houston versus Louisville in the national semifinal.
Okay, I'm gonna pull that up. I'm gonna watch it
because it doesn't get any cooler than Phi Slamma Jamma versus the Doctors of Dunk. And they just decided to go at it. My brother talked about that game all the time. All the time. And I finally watched it. I was like, oh, okay. They just decided we're going to dunk on everybody, which is kind of why Houston ran out of gas against NC State.
Okay.
Because that game was up and down. I think it was like in New Mexico. It was in altitude, you know, and everything like that. But that semifinal, like, look, I'm a Kentucky fan now, but I grew up a Louisville fan. And Doctors of Dunk, that nickname clears.
Yeah, it does.
With Dr. Dunkenstein, that clears.
It does. You're right.
And when you got Phi Slamma Jamma versus the Doctors of Dunk, there you go.
Absolutely. Michelle says, go Houston. Appreciate you, Michelle. Always. Yeah. Always. And we enjoyed this. Thanks again to UTB. Thanks to Jennifer Palumbo and Maddox Huff.
Yeah.
And be back next week. Sometimes we have guests, sometimes we don't, but we have fun either way. And we had a lot of fun tonight. So we'll be back next week, man. Y'all have fun. Stay safe. Hopefully springtime makes its way up there. And we'll be back.
We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Next week on Cast Talk Wednesday, BS3 Network. I'll let y'all